Hey y'all, Andriatic here again. So, a while back, I met a guy that covered every Guardian Angel tech. I told you how to use it, when to use it, stuff like that, and that video, to be honest, is pretty outdated now, and I didn't use my voice in that video, so I thought it would be a good idea to just remake it. Now, just like before, obviously, I'm going to explain everything about Guardian Angel itself, but this time I want to go a little more in depth and talk about the settings that affect Guardian Angel, like Prefer Beam On and Toggle Guardian Angel. Obviously, if you want to skip to the part where I talk about the settings, you can. I'll leave all the timestamps in both the description and the pinned comment, so you can always come back and rewatch this video and skip to the parts you want to see, but I do suggest you watch the whole thing first. You might actually learn something new about something you might have deemed rather basic. Also, for those of you familiar with my channel, you'll know that I make most of my content on console. I'm an Xbox player, but I do play on both PC and Xbox, so I will be noticing differences in the mechanics when it does apply. Obviously, the main part of this video is going to be when I explain all the Guardian Angel mechanics, so the easiest way for me to do that is to split the video up into 3 parts. Guardian Angel mechanics, Crouching Guardian Angel mechanics, and mechanics that can only be done in Valkyrie. So I'll explain the difference between a Crouching Guardian Angel and a regular Guardian Angel in just a little bit, so don't worry, but I'm just letting you know now that that's how the video will be split up. So, at the start of the video I mentioned that I was covering everything, so before we get into the settings, here's some quick Guardian Angel facts on the screen. So now let's get onto the Guardian Angel settings. Guardian Angel has 3 settings that directly affect how it works. These are Toggle Guardian Angel Prefers Beam Target, and Guardian Angel Sensitivity. I'll explain all of these settings in detail and then talk about my preferences and what I use. The first setting we'll cover is Guardian Angel Prefers Beam Target on or off. Guardian Angel Prefers Beam Target is a setting that does exactly what the name implies. It determines whether your Guardian Angel flies to the target you're attached to or not. With Prefer Beam off, Mercy can fly to whoever she wants, whenever she wants, provided that they're in line of sight and within range. The setting is pretty simple and there's not a lot to say about it. With Prefer Beam On, however, Mercy is restricted and bound to whatever hero her beam is attached to. Essentially what this means is you can only fly to whoever you're healing or boosting. Now, although this is pretty restrictive, it actually opens up a lot of advantages that are overlooked. As long as she's attached to someone, with this setting on, you can fly to allies through walls or through situations in which you normally wouldn't be able to target them. And really, this setting is not as restrictive as it sounds. If you want to fly freely, just simply disconnect your beam before you fly. Personally, I use Prefer Beam Off currently, however, most of my time playing Mercy, I've used Prefer Beam On. I love both settings, but for me, the beam up time difference is more beneficial to me with my current playstyle. Both settings are great though, so choose whichever you want and whichever best suits your playstyle. The next setting we're going to cover is Toggle Guardian Angel. By default, Toggle Guardian Angel is on, and this basically means that when you press your Guardian Angel binding, you'll just fly the full distance. If you want to cancel it, you just press the binding again. Toggle Guardian Angel off, however, is the opposite of this. In order to use Guardian Angel, the player needs to hold down their button binding. Guardian Angel will stop when it's either gone the full distance or the player lets go of the button. For me, I use Toggle Guardian Angel off, and I highly suggest that you do too. In my opinion, there's absolutely no benefit to having Toggle Guardian Angel on unless you consider less finger effort an advantage, but like, come on, you're literally playing a video game. Having this setting off just makes life a lot easier, since all you have to do to cancel Guardian Angel is let go of the button. This makes mechanics that require cancellations a lot smoother and a lot easier to perform. Another reason to use this off is the fact that you can hold down Guardian Angel when allies aren't in range or not in line of sight, and when they become viable targets, you'll automatically fly to them. This is really nice because the game automatically doing something for you the second it's available is a lot faster than what you would normally be able to react to. If you're falling off the map, for example, simply hold down Guardian Angel and the second someone comes into range, even if it's a pixel, it'll pick up on it and you'll automatically fly to them. Now, of course, you don't have to use this setting if you don't want to, but I highly suggest that you at the very least try it. Trust me, if you play a couple games with it, once you get used to it, you will not go back. And the final setting is Guardian Angel Sensitivity. This is basically, well, how sensitive Guardian Angel is. Higher sensitivity makes it so Guardian Angel can be triggered more easily, and essentially makes its range wider and less direct. A lower one does the opposite and narrows this, making Guardian Angel more accurate to whoever your crosshair is closest to. Now, the setting is pretty much just however you feel. There's no like right or wrong answer here, and there's no true advantage to either. Having too high of a sensitivity, however, and you might find yourself struggling to target an ally who's in a group of people. If it's too low, you'll basically be using Guardian Angel as a hit scan, so just keep that in mind. I personally use 70, but mess around with the setting and see what you like. Now let's discuss the Crouching Guardian Angel. Since I already explained what Guardian Angel was, for the most part, I don't really need to go over that. I'll just explain what a Crouching Guardian Angel is, and then explain the difference. A Crouching Guardian Angel is exactly what it sounds like. It's basically just pressing Crouch and Guardian Angel at the same time. Now there is a slight difference between PC and console here, but I'll go over that in just a second. You'll know you've done it right if during the Guardian Angel, your point of view is slightly lower, as if you were crouching, and at the very end you do a slight lift up. The only real restriction to this is the fact that you can't perform a Crouching Guardian Angel mid-air. This is because you have to crouch, and you can't crouch unless you're touching the ground. However, with some practice, you can learn to perform a Crouching Guardian Angel as you land on the ground. So, remember when I said there was a slight difference between console and PC here? Well, it's in the timing of the crouch. On PC, you can press both buttons at the exact same time, so people often have their crouch binding and their Guardian Angel binding right next to each other. On console, however, there's an input delay, so this doesn't always work. I personally timed it, and I press it 0.2 seconds apart, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I can't get it to work at the same exact time. So if you struggle to perform a Crouching Guardian Angel on console, this might be your issue. Just try pressing them slightly apart and see if it makes it more consistent. So finally, we're onto the Guardian Angel Techs. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this video will be split into 3 parts. So we're going to cover all the normal Guardian Angel Techs first. Everything that requires a Crouching Guardian Angel, I'll go over later. So the first tech we're going to discuss is the most basic, and the one that every Mercy main should probably already be aware of. This is the Slingshot. A Slingshot is performed by pressing your jump binding while actively using Guardian Angel. Essentially all this does is it gives you some extra distance. It also gives you some slight directional control that you otherwise wouldn't have. Slingshot can also be used to give you some vertical height, so long as your ally is at a higher elevation than you are. Though it isn't necessarily needed, if you look above tall allies, you can also get some slight vertical height, just not as much. On the other hand, if you slingshot while someone's at a lower elevation than you, it kind of stops you from descending and throws you forward. Slingshot is the most flexible and most commonly used Mercy tech. It's reliable, easy to pull off, and it's great in most situations. The only downside is the fact that you are getting extra distance in your Guardian Angel, so Guardian Angel will stay on cooldown throughout that extra distance. This makes sense, and honestly it's a fair trade-off in my opinion. Just make sure you're careful about spamming it, especially versus more agile enemies. It might actually keep you on cooldown when you need it. Also, don't get used to spamming it too much. You might accidentally fly past your allies into the enemy team. That seems to be a common mistake with this mechanic. So now let's talk about prop jumps. These are kind of cool. So when your Guardian Angel gets interrupted by a wall or a prop or even another enemy, you can press your jump binding and slingshot right as you come into contact with it, and depending on how you hit the object, you'll get different results. If you hit something head on, you'll either go straight sideways or straight vertical, and if you just slightly graze an object and turn your camera, you can usually get some pretty good directional control. Take this clip for example, which is from one of my other videos. I start out by doing a wall slide, and then at the end I do a normal prop jump. That way I can escape a lost fight. There's places you can perform these all over the map, so they're not too hard to set up as long as you know your maps well. It is a lot easier if you use Prefer Beam on, since obviously you can fly through walls, but obviously it's not mandatory or necessary at all. So now let's move on to the Bunnyhop. If you play heroes like Lucio, Winston, or even Reinhardt, you'll already know what a Bunnyhop is, since this isn't a tech that's unique to Mercy herself. Performing a Bunnyhop is super easy. All you have to do is cancel Guardian Angel, and as you skim the ground, press your jump binding, and you'll do a slight hop. Same with all other heroes that can perform Bunnyhops, there are a few restrictions that apply to it. Firstly, it can't be done mid-air since you have to skim across the ground, and secondly, you can't do it on ledges or slants because it has to be flat ground. So, what's Bunnyhop even used for? It seems kinda useless, right? Well, it's used for smoother gameplay, and it allows you to be a little more agile since you're canceling Guardian Angel. This is the opposite effect that a Slingshot has, since as I mentioned, Slingshot will hold Guardian Angel's cooldown while you're using it. Since a Bunnyhop cancels Guardian Angel, it'll come off cooldown quicker. Bunnyhop also gives pretty good directional control, so this makes it great for just canceling Guardian Angel and then hopping around a corner quickly. Of course, just like Slingshot, this cooldown difference is super minor and it doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but the playstyle that uses Bunnyhop is a bit more agile and a lot smoother than one that doesn't use it, so I mostly just use it just for smoother gameplay. Now let's talk about Sling-Hop. Sling-Hop is exactly what the name implies. It's a combination of a slingshot and a bunny-hop. In order to Sling-Hop, all you have to do is perform a slingshot and right before you touch the ground, cancel and perform a bunny-hop. Overall, this is a great mechanic. It gives you the extra distance and speed of Slingshot, and even more distance and directional control from the Bunnyhop. In addition to that, you're ending the Slingshot and keeping momentum with the Bunnyhop, so you start your cooldown while you're still moving. The only downside to this mechanic is the fact that it has the same restrictions that apply to Bunnyhop. As seen here, I like to use the mechanic to round corners, but it's also great for outmaneuvering faster enemies. Now we're going to cover the Groundless Superjump, but I also like to call this the Chain Superjump since it's great for chaining multiple jumps in quick succession. To perform this tech, you need to be falling, since you obviously can't be touching the ground since it's, groundless. Anyways, so you have to be close to the target, so you fall towards them, and then right before you hit the ground, you press your jump binding. The timing on this is pretty important. If you do it too early, you'll just perform a declined slingshot, and if you do it too late and touch the ground, you just literally don't go anywhere. The easiest way to perform the tech is to just come from above your Guardian Angel target and fall towards them. This isn't necessary though, since a jump works just fine too. Moving on, let's talk about Sideways Slingshot, or Sideways Guardian Angel. This tech is pretty much just a form of Slingshot, so it's pretty easy to perform. The only requirement is that it's much more effective at mid to close range. The closer you are, the more directional control you'll get. This tech does exactly what the name implies. Instead of shooting you forwards, like a normal slingshot, you go left or right. Of course, you can choose whichever direction you want to go. So performing this mechanic is super easy. It's basically the same thing as a slingshot. The only difference is where you're positioned. All you need to do is stand close to your ally and then be on the opposite side that you want to fly. So if you want to fly to the left, stand on the right side of your target. If you want to fly to the right, stand on the left side of your target. And this should be obvious, but make sure you're holding down the appropriate directional key bindings when you're using this mechanic, since it'll give you more distance. This mechanic is pretty situational, but it's great if you want to fly in directions where you don't have targets. Take this clip for example. Finally, we're on to one of the most famous and frustrating mechanics, the Reverse Guardian Angel. Reverse Guardian Angel, for those who don't know, is basically a slingshot that shoots you backwards instead of forwards. To perform this tech, you have to be at close range to your target, and by that I mean you basically have to be res distance close. So anywhere around 5 meter range is pretty good. Then walk up to the target, jump, and as you jump let go of all your directional keys, then use Guardian Angel and jump again, all in super quick succession. For me personally, it's a lot easier to perform this if you're falling into it, similarly to how you would do a Groundless Superjump. Now I know what you're thinking, they seem super similar, and they are. The only difference is that for a Reverse Guardian Angel, you have to be slightly higher. Now, if you mess up and do a Groundless Superjump instead, chances are it's not really going to matter. This mechanic is super niche, and it's not useful in very many situations, so a lot of the community deems it pretty useless. It's got the same uses as a Sideways Guardian Angel though, where it works if you don't have a target in the direction you want to go. Like in this clip, I don't have anyone to fly to behind me, so I perform a Reverse Guardian Angel to escape. So now let's move on to Ghost Guardian Angel. This tech isn't actually a tech and more just relies on map knowledge. If you're familiar with my old Guardian Angel guide, you'll know I covered a tech that I called Ghost Guardian Angel, or you could call it Phantom Guardian Angel if you want to go with that. And then I showed a clip on Gibraltar in which I could fly through a wall. Well, I'm sure you'll be glad to find out that that spot was removed, so this is what happens if you attempt this now. So, that spot specifically was removed, but how does Ghost Guardian Angel actually work? Well, it's a bug with the maps essentially. There's many areas in maps where there's these things that are commonly referred to as pixels, and basically all they are holes in the maps, and since Mercy can't target Guardian Angel through walls but through LOS, these holes count as LOS. Since this isn't really a mechanic and more just map knowledge, I'll leave a couple spots for examples so you know what to look for when you're in game. So that's all of the Guardian Angel techs, so now we'll be moving on to the Crouching Guardian Angel techs. Every tech in this section requires that you use a Crouching Guardian Angel as opposed to a normal one. Now we're on to probably the most famous Mercy mechanic, or at least the most well known, and that's Superjump. So, Superjump is actually pretty easy. The only requirement is that you know how to crouch Guardian Angel. In order to perform a Superjump, use a crouching Guardian Angel, and at the very end of the Guardian Angel, when you do that slight lift up, you press your jump binding. If you do it properly, you'll shoot straight up into the air. Superjump is very consistent, and because of that, it's super reliable. The only drawback is that you have to perform a crouching Guardian Angel, so unless you touch the ground, you can't perform it. Since the only real requirement is crouching GA, it can be performed from pretty much any angle, though the timing of the jump gets a little more difficult the more vertical you go. As I mentioned before, all you need to do is be able to perform a crouching Guardian Angel. Just make sure that you press your jump binding at the very end of Guardian Angel when you do that slight lift up. If you press jump too early, you won't go straight up and you'll go more at a vertical angle. If you press it too late, you just won't jump at all. I would also like to note that Superjump is just a form of Slingshot, so this means that holding Guardian Angel throughout the entire GA will cause its cooldown to start once the jump is complete. However, if you're being flung straight up, you can cancel Guardian Angel after you start ascending, so that the cooldown starts earlier. This makes it easier to spam Superjump, that way Guardian Angel is ready to be used again once you land. However, if you cancel Guardian Angel a little too early here, you can actually perform a half Superjump, or one that's straight up but not as high. This doesn't have many uses, but it is good to know if you want to use it intentionally. Basically all you do is cancel Guardian Angel at the same exact time you press your jump binding. Superjump is mostly used to reposition or just avoid the enemy in general, but it shouldn't be spammed without reason. Being in the air in a predictable path makes you very easy to hit, especially versus hit scans. There's many situations it can be used, so just use it whenever you feel it's right. The next mechanic is super simple and is basically just an early Superjump. I call it an extended Slingshot because I personally couldn't come up with a better name, and that's really all it is. As I said, it's basically just doing a Superjump, but you're doing it early. All you do is do a crouching Guardian Angel and then press your jump binding whenever you feel like, as long as it's not at the very end, since that would be a Superjump. This essentially gives you a Slingshot that moves faster and a little bit farther and a little bit higher, and it gives you a little more directional control. It's basically just a better Slingshot, and just like a normal Slingshot, you can Sling-Hop afterwards if you want to. Just use this the same way you would a normal Slingshot and you're good to go, to be honest. Now let's move on to the reverse or backwards Superjump. For a reverse Superjump, it's a little different to do since you use a crouching Guardian Angel instead of a normal one, of course. But this also gives you more vertical height, similar to a Superjump, so you go more back at a diagonal angle as opposed to straight up or straight backwards. Now, of course, the regular reverse Guardian Angel can give you that vertical angle, but this one will always give you an angle, while a regular reverse Guardian Angel will usually shoot you straight backwards instead. Performing this mechanic is basically the same exact thing as performing a regular reverse Guardian Angel, except instead of doing jump Guardian Angel jump, you do crouch Guardian Angel jump, pretty much all at the same time. So, to be honest, there's not really a lot to say about this and how to perform it since it's so similar, and honestly, it's easier to just do a regular reverse Guardian Angel, but this one is useful too, and I'm covering every mechanic, so I figured I'd cover this too. So now, onto the last part of the video, let's move on to the techs that can only be done in Valkyrie. This first one isn't really a tech itself, and is more just something that Valkyrie does, and that's that Valkyrie resets Guardian Angel's cooldown once you activate it. Basically all this means is when you press your ult binding and you activate Valkyrie, Guardian Angel's cooldown will be reset, which makes it instantly available to use. This is pretty good to know, as it basically just gives you 2 Guardian Angels in a row without having to wait for the normal 1.5 second cooldown in between them, so it can help you get out of sticky situations, especially combined with Valkyrie's immediate health regen, added GA speed, and range. This can be a really good escape tool. Moving on, we're going to talk about Valkyrie Superjump. So the Superjump in Valkyrie is a lot different than a normal Superjump, since obviously there's no crouching Guardian Angel. In fact, it's more comparable to a Groundless Superjump in how you perform it. Since this mechanic is basically performed the exact same way as a Groundless Superjump, just done in Valkyrie, I'm not going to go too much in detail about it since we already went over that in the video. The same exact requirements apply though, you just have to be close and low to the ground, which can be kind of counterintuitive since a lot of times in Valkyrie you're usually positioned higher, so I personally only use this mechanic when I need to gain altitude really quickly, such as coming out of a res or something. So we're finally on to the very last mechanic in the video, and that's the reverse Guardian Angel in Valkyrie. Surprisingly though, despite this being a form of backwards Guardian Angel, it's actually one of the easiest mechanics on the list. All you need to do here in order to perform this mechanic is get as low as you possibly can in Valkyrie. This means you need to be hovering pretty much on the ground. Then make sure you're close to your target, just like a normal reverse Guardian Angel. And then activate Guardian Angel and press jump in quick succession, and if you do it properly, you'll be flung backwards. As I've mentioned before, Reverse Guardian Angel and Groundless Superjump are performed very similarly, the difference being the height at which you initially activate your Guardian Angel. This is the same exact thing when comparing a Reverse Guardian Angel in Valkyrie and a Superjump in Valkyrie. So if you're trying to perform a Reverse Guardian Angel, make sure you descend as far as you possibly can like I mentioned earlier. If you do it from a little bit higher, you might end up doing one of the Superjumps. Okay, so that's finally everything. This video took so long, you have no idea. Like, I've been gathering clips and writing stuff for so long, and I'm still not very good at these voiceover things, so I'm really slow when it comes to these, but I'm getting used to them, so I really hope you enjoy them. I wanted to make this video as detailed as possible, so I made sure I added clips from my other videos too. So that's why there's kind of random text on them, and why the quality is pretty bad. I screen recorded them, so if you didn't understand anything in the video, just let me know in a comment and I'll try to respond to it. Obviously I'm not reading a script right now, so I'm sorry. But other than that, I think that's everything, so hope you enjoyed the video. I expect to see you guys doing some crazy mercy jumps in my games now when you're playing against me. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.